everyone. For those who do not know me, my name is Ronnie. I am a donor egg mom in waiting. And what that just means is I was told by my doctor in order for me to conceive or a better chance for me conceiving was to use donor eggs. And so that's what I
Mhm.
did. I got an egg donor and I have embryos on ice. Um, as Becca's going to tell you, transfers don't always work out in the way that they are intended to.
Mhm.
And so I am on my fifth transfer. I am currently like just taking a little break, but I'm not going to give up. And so I think that the purpose of these stories is to tell you stories like mine, stories like Becca, who sometimes getting that baby is not always
Mhm.
that straight and narrow, that straight direct line. Sometimes you have to go through twists and turns. So without further ado, I would like to introduce Becca to the panel. You started off trying to naturally conceive with three miscarriages, and you can
Mhm.
start wherever you would like to in your journey.
Okay. Yes. So I'll start there, which is the beginning. My journey to motherhood started the year I got married, which was 2015. So me and my husband we got married in July, and I was pregnant later in that year, and that's when I had my first miscarriage. At that time, I wasn't even sure what I was having or what it was because I never had a miscarriage before in my life. That was my first time ever. So I was just told by my OBGYN, this is what you're having, this is what it is. So that was a shock to me, and so that was the first one I had. And then the following year in 2016, I experienced another miscarriage. At this point, having already gone through the first one and like understanding what it was, it affected me a little bit more. So I was like, okay, all right, so we'll try again. And then I had my third miscarriage the following year in 2017. So I had a miscarriage in 2015, 2016, and 2017. After that third miscarriage, um, I was like, okay, something is wrong. I can get pregnant, but I cannot stay pregnant. I lost of the babies within the first 8 weeks, and I ended up like passing one at home, and the other two were DNCs.
Do you see?
So I knew something was up because I was losing the pregnancies in the first couple of weeks of conception. So that's when she referred me to a endocrinologist, and which is for I'm sure you ladies know what that is. And so because she didn't know what was causing me to have miscarriages either,
Right.
so I
And
went over
how
to
old were
see and
you? And how old were you when you were having your miscarriages?
so I started out. So when I got married, I had just hit 31. So I had my miscarriages between 31 and 34
So you were
in that
you
time
were
frame.
young
Mhm.
having these. Okay.
Mhm.
Which I like to just kind of point out because a lot of people think that this happens to older women, but
Mhm.
this can happen at any particular age that you may need to do medical
Mhm.
intervention. Um,
Mhm.
Now, did your doctors just tell you how was your treatment of you having the miscarriages? Were they nice? Did they just tell you just keep trying or
They did tell me to keep trying. They really wasn't giving me any solutions, so like after the first two miscarriages, I was like, well, something may be a little off, but it was still, well, let's just keep trying, wait a few months and then try again. That was that was the answer that I got during the miscarriage phase was wait a few months, try again. You know, women have what like some women have had miscarriages and got pregnant naturally on the next go round and had a healthy baby. So that's kind of what I ran with, not
and how was your
knowing
mental health? And how was your mental health during that time?
my mental health was literally all over the place because in my mind I didn't have an answer as to why I was having a miscarriage. It was just keep waiting. Um and then when I had my first miscarriage, I didn't even understand what it was or what I was having. I just knew that it wasn't normal. So it was just a combination of not knowing what a miscarriage was to finding out what it was and then having to go through it two more times and it was just like it was awful. I didn't like.
Right.
I was all like my emotions were like all over the place because I was like, what? Why is my body rejecting these babies like this?
Right. Now, I don't know if you experienced this when you were having your miscarriages, but now, because I've had three too as well, early ones too.
Hmm.
What were they all different?
Um, Not necessarily. In the sense that so with the first one, they gave me the option to pass it at home or to have DNC with the very first one. I s- but me not knowing anything, I decided I was just going to pass it at home, and that was pretty traumatic for me.
Yeah.
So I knew that if I had another miscarriage going forward, I would just opt to do the DNC and not in the hospital because it was too traumatic for me to sit home and continue to like uh, bleed and like past tissue and stuff like that. That was very traumatic for me. Had I known it was going to be that process, I would have opted for the DNC in the beginning.
I know, and I agree. That's something that they just don't tell you.
Hmm.
Um, and I the first time it happened to me, I was like, Nobody prepared me for this," and
No one.
like,
Hmm.
and it's I don't know for you, but it didn't happen like I just thought it was gonna just happen like at one time,
Me
and it
too.
didn't happen to me at one time. It happened like a little bit, and then like it stopped, and then like more, and I was like, wait, I thought I was done, and I wasn't done, and I was like,
Hmm.
nobody told me about this at all.
No one
Nobody
told
said
me
this.
exactly.
So she said she went to a reproductive endocrinologist, and for those who don't know, that's
Hmm.
called an RE. That is someone
Hmm.
who you go to for IVF and pregnancy.
Hmm.
They usually will run panels just to see why, what the issues are, and if you're a good candidate for IVF. So that's what she says when she
Hmm.
says about an endocrinologist. And when you
Hmm.
went there, how was your relationship with the RE?
So my relationship was brand new with him. I so looking back on so basically having gone through that experience with the first RE that I um, had I known what I know now, I wish so what I would have done differently was that I wish I had reached out to other ladies who was already going through IVF to see who their doctors were, maybe like who they would recommend instead of taking the first option that my OBGYN recommended to me. That
Right.
is that I wish I had done that differently because I feel like had I done that, my children would have been born years before they were born. That is how
Wow.
serious it was. Oh yeah, that's how serious it was. Yeah, that's what. And further in my story, I'll go on to explain why I switched to REs and how
Okay.
making that switch when I did changed my entire life. And I wish I had done it 2 years before I had done it. I believe that if I had switched or if I was with the RE that I was with that helped me have my children, my son would have been born 2 years prior than what he was. I wholeheartedly believe
So what happened when you went to so you left you were recommended for a RE, so you went to the
that. Hmm.
first one, and let's
Hmm.
talk about your experience there.
So, in the very beginning, I'm going in blindsided. I know nothing about IVF. I'm just a brand new patient from the OBGYN department from downstairs because it was all in the same building. The women's health OB was like on the third floor, and fertility was upstairs on the fourth floor, just like that. So they just sit me upstairs. And me not knowing anything, not even knowing anyone that's ever been through IVF, I'm a just brand new blank slate. I went with it. Okay, this is who you recommended. Let's try it. Okay, I didn't know not to. I didn't know anything other than that.
Right.
So when I went in, my I did my egg retrieval first. I got a lot of eggs, a lot of eggs. When I did my egg retrieval, I want to say so my egg count went from they retrieved 69 eggs. I had 30 that were fertilized, and then I think I went down to like 20 something.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, so like after it was all said and done, I ended up with like 20, 21 embryos in total. So I had way more than what I thought I was gonna ever get. I ended up having they call it OHSS, over hypostimulate.
Overstimulation. Right.
Yeah, oh yeah. So because of that, I had to wait to start my transfers. So I've never had a natural transfer. All my transfers have been frozen due to that in the very beginning. So my embryos were frozen from the very beginning of my IVF journey because I had to let my body heal from OHSS.
Did they recommend that you test your embryos, or did they say because you were younger to uh it would be fine?
So he told I he recommended it at first. When I first did my me after everything was done with that part, but I didn't have the financials money to do it at that time. So I said, well, let's just do one transfer first, and let's see how that goes, and then I'll make a decision after that. So that's what I did.
Okay. So you didn't have insurance to cover any of your treatments.
No, I did.
Okay.
That's another thing is too. So the state that I live in covers has a man is mandated to cover fertility. So I have so the only thing I paid for my entire IVF journey was was just medications and for the genetic testing. That's it. I haven't paid.
Maryland?
Hmm.
Are you in Maryland?
Oh no, I'm sorry. I'm in Massachusetts.
Oh, you're in Massachusetts. Okay, that was the next one I was
Hmm.
gonna say. So in case you didn't know, if you live in the
Massachusetts.
state
Hmm.
of Massachusetts, Maryland, I believe
Hmm.
it's Illinois, and there's one other state. They have a state mandate,
Yep.
meaning that
Hmm.
if you get that they require that there be some sort of fertility coverage.
Hmm.
Um, New York also has one, but you have to kind of read what the rules are. So there are some states that do have mandates, but it's like California is like the state to it's like it's an
Hmm.
option that you can offer it, not necessarily
Hmm.
meaning that the company that you're with will have IVF. So
Hmm.
you have to look at those, but Massachusetts is one of those companies, one of those states that do cover IVF to make it more affordable for people who are residents of the state.
Right. So I So with living here, I didn't have to pay for IVF at all. I just paid for the genetic testing, and I just paid my copay for the medications, and that's it.
Which
And the genetic
I
test,
wish more states would do that.
right?
Yeah,
That was a blessing because
right,
financially I wouldn't have been able to afford it, and I didn't know any of this until I did IVF.
right. And a lot of people don't know that until they actually need it. A lot of people don't even know like their companies even
Mhm.
cover it until the need is there.
Mhm.
So you go and do your first transfer and it fails.
Yeah. Right. My first transfer was unsuccessful. I didn't even get pregnant. It didn't even turn into a pregnancy or anything. The embryo never implanted in my uterus at all. So it just failed, completely failed. So that's, so after that first failed transfer, that's when I decided, okay, I want to do the genetic testing because the first one failed. So let's just let's do that.
Right.
And so, with that, I ended up testing eight of my embryos. I tested eight of my embryos, and I ended up with five girls and three boys, and they all came back normal, which was a shocking to me because I didn't
That's
know. I
amazing.
wasn't like, yeah, I didn't have expectation. I said, well, I mean, if I get at least half of out of the eight, that would be nice. But they all came back normal, and it was five girls and three boys because we opted to know the genders as well.
Right. And the main reason why you probably did that only eight, because if you heard before, if you're coming in, we have Becca here, and she's talking about she had you said 18 embryos, right?
Yeah.
ultimately at the end, and she only tested 8, and I'm assuming you did
Hmm.
8 just because of cost wise. So if you
Yes.
have to pay out of pocket, it's
Hmm.
per embryo. So sometimes it can be $2,000 $3,000
Right.
to
This was a
test.
package thing that they
Right,
offered. So like I paid it was $5,000 to test 8 embryos. But you can do like 4, 6, 8, and they just have different prices as you go up.
right. And then and then like sometimes it won't include um, because your embryologist will pull the testing. So they'll charge a fee to do the biopsy, and then
Mhm.
there's a separate company that they send it out to, who will then charge you another fee. So just depending on what clinic that you go to, it could, like she said, end up being, and it's good that they offered the package because it can end up
Mhm.
being between anywhere between $4,000 to $10,000
Mhm.
depending on the number of
Mhm.
embryos you test. So
Right.
that's great that they did have that package for you to use too as well. Now, did
Mhm.
you have any expectations? Because I know you didn't know anything about it, but did you have any expectations going into your transfer and your egg retrieval? Because one, you're already shocked that you got so many embryos, and now you're going to.
Mhm.
Did you have any expectations of this just working and this is what the ticket was?
Mhm. I thought that this was gonna work for me. I didn't know that it would take as many tries as it would. I didn't know that I would have had to do it like more than two, just like 1 or 2 times to
Right.
conceive a healthy baby. So I wasn't like, cause like going into it, um, I just assumed that, oh, okay, I'll just do it maybe like once or twice. I'll have a baby and then I'll be all set. That's kind of what my mentality was, not realizing that um, it doesn't always work on the first try. But I was never told that because I was brand new to IVF. So I kind of went into it thinking that, oh, this is going to be quick. I'm going to do this and it's going to work on the first try. And sometimes it does for some people, but I wasn't one of the lucky ones.
Right, right. Yeah, and I tell people that all the time. Like, if it works for you on the
Hmm.
first time, like, just pat yourself on the back because it doesn't work out for a lot of us. So you have to, do whatever you need to do for your own expectations because
Hmm.
some people go in there and they, like you said, bam, 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 have a baby, even go back
Hmm.
for the second one, and there's no complications, and they have their 2 babies or their 3 babies or whatever. They just know they need to go back. So
Hmm.
and great for you if that happens, but for some of
Hmm.
us it doesn't happen that way. um so the first one fails. How long did you wait before you went to the second embryo transfer?
So before I went to the second embryo transfer, I waited a few months. I didn't just jump right back into it. I waited a few months to kind of think about a few things and kind of see which direction I was going to be going into with the second one. Um, so I quickly realized that the only thing that was different was that between the first and second embryo transfer was that I just tested my embryos. My endocrinologist team did not change anything as far as my protocol goes. I
Right.
thought they maybe would have, or I thought something they would have recommended something, or maybe changed the protocol or anything, but nothing changed. My protocol never changed from embryo transfer 1 to 2. And at the time, I didn't question it because I figured, well, they know what they're doing. So maybe they just want me to just keep going with this. So I went with it. I went with it.
And how did you
And
feel now? Did the second one, did you have any type of implantation or it just completely failed again?
the second one completely failed again, but I went into it with more confidence because we were using a PGS tested normal embryo.
Okay.
So I was more confident, oh, this time it's going to work because this embryo is normal. The first
Right.
one could have been normal or not been normal, but I don't know because it wasn't tested. So I had more confidence this time around that, oh, the embryo is normal. This is going to work. When the second embryo transfer failed, a light bulb kind of clicked in my head like, okay, so it's not my embryo, it's probably the protocol because my embryo was normal. So something needs to change. So um, I didn't bring it up to my clinic at the time. I was waiting to see when I told them that I wanted to try for a third time what they were going to tell me. I was waiting to see if they were going to be like, okay, so we tried one without a test, one without. Your first one was with the embryo that wasn't tested and it failed. Your second one was with an embryo that was tested and it failed. Let's try to change your protocol and see what happens. They never uh changed my protocol. The nurse called me and was like, "Oh, your doctor wants to wants you to try again." Of course, and the protocol is not you're gonna be on the same protocol. And that's when the light bulb came on. I said, um, I didn't really say it to them, but in my mind, I was done. I was like, okay, no. I've had two failed transfers and my protocol has not changed. So in my head I'm thinking I'm not going to waste another one of my embryos that I paid money to get tested on at this clinic because what if I go on for a third try and it fails again and you tell me and then nothing and then it fails again and then you still don't change my protocol. I I wasn't in a place to where I felt comfortable risking another embryo not implanting because my protocol wasn't going to be changed. And I didn't bring this up to them because I felt like if you were going to change my protocol, you would have came to me and said, "Let's change your protocol."
Right.
So at that point, and that was in October of 2019. At that point, I decided that okay, I need to go find some help for myself because I can't stay at this clinic any longer because they're not changing my protocol. And I've already had two failed transfers. So I had a choice to make stay here and keep trying or find somebody else that can help me. And that's what I ultimately decided to do was find someone else that could help me.
And I
So
bet
I
you,
ended
so you're saying you're glad you made that decision of switching
That
protocol.
was the best decision I ever made in my life. That was the best decision I made in my life was deciding to switch clinics. And I tell women now that are on the journey, on an IVF journey as well. And I preach this wholeheartedly. If at any moment in your journey you feel like your clinic is not doing enough for you, if you feel like they're not listening to you, whatever it is, if you feel indifferent, do not hesitate to leave. If you want to leave, take your embryos and run because you have the right to do that as a patient. You don't have to stay there under those conditions if you don't want to. This is your body. These are your embryos, and if you want to leave, no one can stop you. I wish someone had told me that. So,
I preach that a lot,
mhm, mhm,
in groups that, just like
mhm.
when you don't like your services at a certain place or a certain restaurant, you take your business elsewhere.
You
And
take
we
your
have to do
business
the same
elsewhere.
way for healthcare, that this is a business.
Yes.
They're for profit, especially
Yep.
IVF. They're definitely for
Mhm.
profit.
Yep.
And you don't have to, there's several IVF clinics. Maybe they're not one in your area, but a
Mhm.
lot of girls drive to, my case, I fly, to
Mhm.
get the level of care that you deserve.
Mhm.
And you have to recognize when a physician is not listening to you,
Mhm.
and not wanting to try something. Did you even,
Mhm.
you said you never even discussed trying something different, so you don't even know if they were open or not.
I don't even know if they were open or not. I didn't.
Okay.
The nurse, when I did express interest to her that I did want to try for a third transfer, she said to me, "Your protocol is going to stay the same."
Oh.
That was told. She told me my protocol would stay the same because I was
Don't even
wondering.
worry about it, honey. Don't
Yeah.
even worry about
So
it.
once she made it clear to me that my protocol was going to stay the same, that's when when I hung up with her, I already made the decision in my head. If she says the protocol is going to stay the same, I'm leaving. I literally within a week later, I went back to the clinic and got all my medical records. I had already researched how to transfer all my embryos out of their lab to a whole new facility in their lab. I was so serious about it. I was
Oh,
like, no.
as you should,
Mm-mm,
as you should, and that's the
mm-mm,
thing. You know, you can try to give your clinic a chance. They do
mm-hmm,
have what's called after your transfer fails, it's called a WTF appointment, which is
mm-hmm.
what the F appointment that you may have, that you sit down and you talk about what happened. You didn't have a WTF
I
appointment?
never went back. When I
Oh, you
got,
never went back.
mm-mm, I never went back. I got my medical records and my embryos transferred out of their lab. I never went back. Mm-mm,
Yeah. And I mean, you know, sometimes you can give that clinic a chance, but you know, I think I would have been in the same situation if you're not going to
mm-hmm,
be proactive and change anything. Um, yep, that'll do it. I'll just go
mm-hmm,
somewhere else. I have the coverage, I have insurance. I'll go somewhere else that's going to make sure that I get the care that I deserve.
mm-hmm.
New
So that
doctor,
was,
new clinic, new everything. So
mm-hmm.
how is your feelings going into all of that?
Well, so now that happened in October 2019. So I just took the rest of the year and I took the rest of the year off, like for November and December, just to kind of figure out what I'm gonna do next. And then in January of 2020, that's when I hit the ground running, I said, okay, now it's a new year. Now we need to find a new RE. And so I was looking and I was asking other women, who do you use that was local to my area? And oddly enough, I found my new RE on a Facebook ad.
Oh wow.
I was scrolling down Facebook and the clinic, it was a fairly new clinic, but it was local to me and they had a Facebook ad. And I just clicked on it and I was like, oh, I never heard of this fertility clinic before. And the woman, my doctor, and a male doctor, they had just started it up, but this clinic has been, it is worldwide, like it is well known, but they just started up their chapter of it right here in our
Their
state. And so I said, okay, this is different. And so something just said, just give it a shot, you know. And so I reached out to her around February-ish, and I met her for the first time in March of 2020 on a Zoom call.
Now,
And
somebody just asked in the chat,
mhm,
and you know, I just get your opinion on this. Do you feel like the
yeah,
percentage of women of color feel the same way about getting treatment compared to non-white women during doing IVF process? Like they're
mhm.
not being heard or seen versus
I
non.
yeah, I think so. Um, I don't think I was taken serious. I really don't. I think I was at my old clinic. I felt like I was kind of overlooked a little bit. And that's another reason why I left too, because I didn't feel like my case was being taken serious. I kind of just felt like another number. I felt like another number to them, another number of an IVA number, IVF patient to them. And so I think I would agree with that.
I would also have to agree with that too as well. And I'm glad that you brought up feeling like a number. And depending
Mhm.
on the clinic that you're at, you know,
Mhm.
especially if you are not responding right away, you know, their
Mhm.
goal is to get you pregnant and then get you out of there. You know,
Mhm.
usually what happens is you'll do your egg retrieval, you'll, you know, maybe do a fresh transfer, or you have to wait another month to do a frozen transfer. But their goal is to get you pregnant that one or two cycles, and then you know, monitor you for a certain amount of weeks and get you out of their clinic, you know, and get you out of the rotation just because you are
Mhm.
now part of their statistics. So when you aren't getting pregnant, you know, they will kind of tell you, well, you may do something else. They may push you to donor eggs. They may do a
Mhm.
bunch of things that may to discourage you because now you're bringing their stats down. Because again, this is a
Mhm.
business. They want to make sure that when someone else comes to the clinic, they are saying like, "Hey, we get this amount of women pregnant."
Mhm.
And so they will take, some clinics will take easier cases, and once you start getting
Mhm.
complicated, they'll phase you out until you need to go somewhere else, or maybe you need to try something else, or some other alternate route that discourages you from continue to try with them.
Mhm.
So I would definitely say that, um, you know, the experience when you hear it across the board, if you're in forums or social media or anything like that, you know, women of color do have a harder time. Um, I mean, if you come every week to this interview, I think there's a percentage of us who do these interviews all say they ran into some issue with a doctor
Mhm. Mhm.
and they had to leave, or they kept pushing and pushing and pushing till something finally changed. But for most of us,
Mhm.
when we do these interviews, I've done these interviews with everyone, they all left.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah.
Um, so now we have new doctor, new protocol. And what did he
Mhm.
do differently than your previous RE did?
So I have a woman RE now. So I went from a
Okay.
man to a woman, and so me and her we met on our first Zoom call in March of 2020, and this is where literally everything just flipped over, changed rapidly. So I told her my entire case, what I went through with the miscarriages. I told her what I went through in my previous clinic, and she literally hit the ground running. Like she said,
Mm-hmm.
okay, this is what we're gonna do. So at this time, the first thing, so there was two things that I did on my third round of IVF with my new doctor. So the first thing I did was she put me on the this new protocol. Now this protocol is very specific to my clinic, and I'll tell you my clinic's name as well. It's very specific to my clinic, meaning I don't know any other clinic that does this specific protocol with these specific medications. Because the thing is, I've never heard of other clinics doing it. I'm not sure if they do or they don't do it, but I know my clinic does specifically, and I haven't heard of any other clinic doing this particular protocol. So she put me on the protocol. It was called the antihistamine protocol, where it's three medications that I was taking in addition to the PIO shots and the ones that go inside of you, the vaginal inserts. So
Right.
it was, I
Pepsid?
have to look about. Yes, Pepsid was one. It was two more. It's Pepsid was one of them. No, um, and I'm gonna have to look it up on my phone because I
Okay. So,
prednisone.
prednisone. Don't call me.
Sorry.
Listen. If I ain't at a RE, if I ain't a
hmm
mini RE, what did I tell you? Steroid.
hmm
I already knew. I was
That's what it
like,
was. Pepsid, Claritin, and prednisone.
prednisone.
Yep.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
hmm So I had never taken those before this with my own clinic. So I was on that protocol. I took those along with the regular PIO shots and the vaginal inserts. Um, and so that was that. That was the protocol I was on. And then I also did with her in 2020 the ERA test, which that particular test was at that time was to tell her when would be the best time to transfer my embryo into my uterus to conceive
right.
a pregnancy. hmm Oh, and that was something else that was out of pocket. That was the third thing out of pocket because that wasn't covered by insurance, and that was like $700.
Yeah.
But I
So the
trusted
test she's
this.
talking about is it's a so sometimes you'll do what's called a mock transfer. They'll basically
Yes,
do
that's yeah.
everything.
Mhm.
You'll take your medications.
Mhm.
Um, you'll do it like a normal transfer. The only
Mhm.
thing they won't do is actually transfer the embryo. So what they're
Yes.
doing is testing the
Mhm.
lining of your uterus to make sure that you are taking enough progesterone, because progesterone is what sustains the pregnancy. So up until
Mhm.
a certain point, in a woman's pregnancy, and that's why you'll hear a lot of women who say they need progesterone. Even in natural pregnancies, they don't produce
Mhm.
enough to sustain the pregnancy, and so when
Mhm.
they do that, it may mean that so in IVF, we basically are mimicking what would happen in natural conception, which means you take two hormones, which are estrogen and progesterone.
Mhm.
Um, and then you take estrogen your whole time, and then at a certain point, you build the estrogen builds your lining. The progesterone then makes it cushy for it starts compacting the uterine lining for the
Mhm.
embryo to transplant. If you don't have enough progesterone, then that's when some women have a failed transfer. So sometimes they may say need 10 plus hours or 8 plus hours or 12 plus
Mhm.
hours. So they'll change your protocol so that you can get more progesterone before they transfer the
Mhm.
embryo in there. And that's really for women who are having failed transfers. So in
Mhm.
my
Mhm.
case, I'm getting pregnant, which means that they didn't need to change my protocol for progesterone because I'm getting pregnant. Like I'm getting pregnant and then I'm not staying. So it's not the progesterone that's the issue, it's something else that's the issue in my
Mhm.
case. But because she wasn't getting pregnant, her pregnancy were failing, then that's when a mock transfer comes in to make sure, like, hey, before we even put this thing in, let's just make sure we give you the right meds. you know,
Mhm.
that type of situation. Now, did you need more progesterone?
Mhm.
You did. You
Mhm.
needed more.
Mhm.
Okay. So we changed that. We did antihistamine, and if you go to CNY, they do an antihistamine protocol. They do what's called a kitchen
Oh.
sink protocol. Yeah,
Okay.
they'll throw Lovenox in there. They'll throw prednisone in there. They'll throw
Mhm.
what's the other one called? What's the other one that they call? They'll throw in there um, into the protocol. But yeah, they'll do the Pepsid, the Claritin
Mhm. Pepsi
to
Claritin. Mhm.
help with
Red
that embryo
prednisone.
transferring in.
Mhm. So
So
I did. Yeah, and
so
so I
third
did all
transfer.
that, and yeah, so that was my third. That was my third transfer. So I did the ERA over the summer, and then I did my third transfer um, on September 4th, 2020. And so so I waited, and I did the so with my son, with his being the third transfer, I didn't test at home. Because I was so nervous and so scared. So I literally waited the 10 days and I went back to do the blood work at the clinic, and I was like, "Oh my goodness!" That was that was the most nervous I've ever been throughout the whole process because I was like, "Okay, I did everything right. I got a new doctor. I'm on a new protocol. This is gonna work. This is gonna work." And sure enough, I was
You
pregnant.
were.
My third
And tell
try
us how
on my
you
third
feel
round.
when you got the call. Now
Oh
this
man.
is what some people do. I don't know if you did this or not,
Mhm.
but they didn't test at home. I don't know how y'all do that because I'm literally on day 4 of testing. I'm like, okay, I see a squinter. All right, there,
Mhm.
let's get it done. But did you take a pregnancy test after you found out you were positive?
Oh, I did. Mhm. I did. I was because it was just the nerves. So even after I came back from everything that they told me, I took another one. I took multiple ones because I just didn't believe even what they were saying. It was just so crazy. But I cried because up until that point, I did not know what was going to happen. Um,
Right,
my it took a toll even on me and my husband's relationship. Like he was in it with me the whole time, stuck by my side. But there was a point in the process where his faith wavered a little bit, just from seeing how it was affecting me, and so it took a toll on both of us. So to finally get over that hump, it was because for him it was like, is it ever gonna happen for us? Are we ever gonna be parents? And
right.
then seeing him go through that, and he was hurting because I was hurting, it was just so hard. So getting over that hump together and then finally getting pregnant was like, it finally happened. God is good.
God is good. Now I know you have because you've gotten pregnant before. So did the
Mhm.
trauma of is this baby gonna stay start to creep in
Mhm.
too as well?
Yes, my entire first trimester, I was so scared. I was so scared because of I still had the trauma from the previous miscarriages. So I was terrified. I was terrified. I was nervous. My anxiety was through the roof, way up. It was super, super high. Um, I did not feel my anxiety didn't start to like release and start to go down, honestly, until I got to like the 14, 15 week mark, till I was completely out of the first trimester, out completely. I was like, okay, I'm just gonna wait. I'm not gonna get excited. I didn't tell anyone until after the first trimester because I was so because miscarriage the rate for miscarriage is so high in the first trimester. I was like, all right, I'm not saying nothing for a while.
And how old were you when you started IVF?
I was 34 when I started
34.
IVF. Yeah, I was 34.
Okay.
hmm And I had my son at 36. I had turned 35. I was 35 for the third transfer. Didn't end up turning 36. Yeah, 36. I forget the years and the ages and stuff, but
It's
I had my son.
okay.
I had my son at 36. Mhm.
So we get past because you say you were 8 weeks. You usually
Mhm.
in 8 weeks, and plus probably because you were natural, they probably you didn't get like. Did you get heartbeat checks or anything like that? So had you ever heard a baby's
Yeah.
heartbeat?
I was at my clinic. I had a heartbeat check at 6 weeks, 8 weeks, and then at 10 weeks, I was free to go. I was off all medication. I just had to stay on the progesterone till I was out of the first trimester.
Was
So
this
at
the
10
first time?
weeks,
Was this the first time you hearing your baby's heartbeat?
hmm first
And how
time,
was that? How was that?
tears just flowed down my face. You could see like the little flicker on. I have all this on video from years ago, but you could just see because they zoomed in on a flicker on the screen. You could just see it going. And it was just the sweetest experience. There are no words in that moment because you just live for that. And so that was like the first. Okay, we got a heartbeat. Now we need to get to this week, and then this week, and then this week, and just build from there.
You built from there. And when did you start
hmm
sharing that you were actually pregnant with people
In the second trimester,
in the
when I,
second
I felt
trimester?
I felt more comfortable. I had leaving the clinic. It was bittersweet because they had carried me so far. And at 10 weeks, she was like, "Well, we can't carry you anymore. You have to go see your regular OB. We got you this far." But it was bittersweet. But I was I was sad to leave, but also happy to go. Now I'm healthy enough to go see a regular OB to carry the rest of me through the pregnancy.
That's amazing. So you
hmm
get to the end of your pregnancy. He's here. He's in your arms. How do you feel?
I was it was the way that I felt was like, is this real? It didn't feel real that I was actually holding a baby that I carried for because I carried him for 39 weeks. So it didn't feel real. It was like all of this built up to this moment right here. And it took a while for it to set in. Like I kind of had like a out of body experience, almost like this is my baby. I carried this baby. I fought for this baby. I did so much to get to this point right here. Um, Oftentimes I say like, and this is not like a rag on moms that have their babies naturally that don't have to go through IVF. But I often say this: women who have their babies through IVF, you wanted that baby more than anything else. Like it's just a different. It's I don't know how to explain it, but it's just to me it's just different. It's like you
Right.
really I was be like that. She had a baby through IVF. She really wanted that baby. Y'all don't even know the half of what she went through with the needles and everything. Oh, I know, because I done been there and
Right.
done that. But
Right.
she really wanted that baby. She fought for that baby. She did.
It's a very taxing
Mhm.
experience,
Mhm.
even if you do it one time and you go through it and it's
Yep.
successful,
Mhm.
you're on so many medications
Mhm.
that you don't know. And if you're pumped up on it, and anybody can know. I mean, if you're all women, being on estrogen, like that time of the month. Just imagine like being on like that, like for 14, 15, sometimes 20 days straight because you're taking just a bunch of estrogen to now stem your eggs, stem follicles, grow a
Mhm.
lining. It doesn't work. Your body doesn't like it. And
Mhm.
so a lot of people just you kind of go a little crazy, a little stir crazy, something that we don't really talk about because you're just like, I'm just trying to get through this. I just want my baby.
Mhm.
And, when I did a medication called Lupron Depot, and I
Mhm.
was sitting here on live, and I was just like, my body just like, I just had like this huge like hot flash on
Mhm.
camera, and I was like, I need a minute. I need a minute. And you can get hot flashes too on estrogen, and you're going, okay, nobody tells you what that experience. If you've never had a hot flash, if you've never had a hot flash, okay.
Mhm.
You like, this ain't the way. This is not the way.
Mhm.
Because your body does feel like it's turning against you. Um,
It does.
and what so I you have embryos, and
Mhm.
your feelings are going to transfer number two now.
Right. This would have been my fourth transfer.
Okay.
So basically, so after my son was born, my RE, the same woman that I had been under, she said, all you, so her, because so I had a C-section with my son because I was high risk for preterm labor due to my cervix wanting to open up early. So, but by God's grace, I carried him all the way to 39 weeks and 4 days. So he was very much full term. So she said, okay. So then my question was, so basically, when can I come back to try for another baby? She said, well, I want you to wait at least 18 months. So
Right.
she said, anytime after 18 months, you come back to see me, that'll give your body enough time to heal and to reset some. And then, of course, what you have in the C-section, I don't
Right.
know. So like, I don't know if I had had a natural, like a vaginal birth, as she would have said sooner. But because I did have a C-section, she told me 18 months.
I
So
think they usually
I said,
make
oh,
you still wait a year. They make you still wait a year.
mm-hmm,
Even with natural, they want you to wait a
okay,
year just to get I think your uterus just to get down back to normal and everything like that.
yeah,
So even still, they recommend, some
a
women can get
year,
in there a
hmm
little bit, like maybe 10 months, but for most of them, I think they said a year,
a
even
year,
with that, yeah.
yeah. So she told
I
me
don't know
18
why it's
months.
different though, because some women
Mm-hmm,
get back to back, get pregnant back to back, and they
mm-hmm,
don't, that's not them waiting a year and they go on to have successful pregnancies. But I guess because it's a liability, maybe is why they make us wait, because we're asking
mm-hmm.
to help them get pregnant. Yeah.
Helping to get pregnant. So I said, okay. So she's like, okay, so you need to wait 18 months, but after that, you know where we are. Your embryos are here.
Right.
Good luck with everything, and we'll see you when we see you. I said, all right. So I waited until my son was 2.5, and then that was last summer. My son turned uh my son turned 2 in May of 20. No, he turned, yeah. Yeah. I'm sorry. I get my years mixed up. But yeah, so my son, because I got pregnant in 2023, so my son had turned 2 in May of 2023, and that's when we decided, okay, he's 2 now, because it's been 2 years, so let's go back to see her again. So I contacted her and everything, and I got an appointment for September of 2023 with her, and she said, okay, so we're gonna get you ready for a possible transfer in December of 2023. I said, okay, that works. So then when did I had to do testing and stuff like that again with her. The only thing I didn't do again was the ERA test. Was the
Right.
ERA test. She said there's no need for that. We went through that with your son the first time, but the same protocol that I was on with my son was the one I was on with my daughter. And first try, it took right away. I got pregnant. I got pregnant on December 13th, 2023. My daughter was born August 30th, 2024. Just like that. No issues.
Now, were you nervous the second time going in? Like, does lightning strike twice,
um,
or did you still have
no,
the
I was still
reservation?
nervous. It's crazy, right? So it's like
Right,
I feel like no many, I mean, I know for me at least, even with a second pregnancy, I still had that first trimester scare of,
right,
will this baby also pull through like my son did? And I think I had that because I've been traumatized from the miscarriages and losing my babies previously in the first trimester. So
right.
I didn't think I would be nervous and scared, but I was. I was. I was. But I got
I
over
say
that.
all the time. I say all the time, that people think because you have a baby that the infertility goes away,
Mm-mm.
and it doesn't go
Mm-mm.
away. That
It
because you had
doesn't.
miscarriages and now you have a baby, that trauma goes away. And
Mm-hmm.
everyone says it doesn't go away. You
It
almost
doesn't.
sometimes, I don't know if you feel this, and let me just ask is, do you kind of like feel like where you a sense of how you quite fit in, like you're not infertile anymore, so
Mm-hmm.
it's kind of like not really talking to those people, but then you can't relate to certain conversations when you're talking to people
Mm-hmm.
in normal, and you kind of end up
Right.
being in this gray area of I'm a mom and I have my baby, but it wasn't the way that my girlfriends or my mom
Yep.
or sisters
Mm.
or cousins had their
Yeah.
baby. Do you feel that
Ex-
way?
I do. I do feel that way. I was the first woman in my family to do IVF. And another thing too is, so some women may have like a diagnosis of like endometriosis or something else. I don't have a diagnosis. I don't have a diagnosis at all. My infertility is completely unexplained.
Explain.
I have unexplained. I have no idea why I went through the things that I went through. I've never got a reason as to, oh, you had endometriosis or you had
Right,
fibroids. Nothing. It's just been
right.
unexplained infertility. And being the only person in my family that has done IVF, I really had no one to relate to as to anything about it. So yeah, I do feel that way as far as that gray area. I do.
Now, someone just asked in the chat that once you go through this process, it's best to basically use IVF. So she had her son through IVF. She's asking,
Mhm.
um, is it best to still use the
So
same process again if you want
I
more kids?
yes, for me, that's what we decided. And that was because so basically after I had my three miscarriages, I was traumatized to get pregnant again naturally, completely traumatized. So basically what we decided was after we had our son, any other children that we had, we was going back to the clinic to get our embryos. We didn't even attempt to get pregnant again naturally because of what happened prior to IVF. So, but I'm sure that some women have gotten pregnant.
Yeah,
Um, but that is what was best for us. We decided
right.
no. Mm-mm.
And that's the thing. That's definitely a personal decision. You will see
Mm-hmm.
women who have their babies via IVF, and
Mm-hmm.
then what kind of just happens is they're not thinking about it anymore. And I don't know,
Yeah.
if you watch like old programs, like if you watched Sex in the City, the
Mm-hmm.
character Charlotte, that kind of happened. They adopted a little girl, and then she naturally, she had miscarriages. They talk about her, and the only reason I
Mm-hmm.
remember this because I just kind of rewatched some old episodes. But she was going to the IVF. She was having, she wasn't getting pregnant. IVF wasn't working. They ultimately ended up adopting, and then she ended up
Mm-hmm.
getting naturally pregnant like years later. So sometimes that does happen for women. I
Mm-hmm.
have, and I'm in a few Facebook groups, and we see this happen too. Is she had two donor egg babies,
Mm-hmm.
and she thought she was done, and lo and behold, now she's naturally pregnant. Something that
Wow.
was not, she was not even thinking about what happened. So you do find cases of women who go through
Mm-hmm.
the IVF process, and then their body just, what some doctors say, just catch on.
Mm-hmm.
That is a kind of a thing. Of what I tell people is, if your body is used to having babies, so when you see women who are like 20 and they can get pregnant like when they're 40 something, it's something that their body naturally knows instinctively how to do, versus
Mm-hmm.
me who has, I've never been pregnant, and now my body is trying to tell my body at the age of 40 something to get pregnant, that you may struggle with that
Mhm.
because it's something that your body is just used to doing, just used to
Mhm.
constantly doing all the time. And so natural conception can maybe happen easier for some women than
Mhm.
others. But yeah, so and then some women are just like Becca, who are like, I ain't gonna even hold you. We did this, it didn't work, and they immediately go
Mhm.
back, and that's how they build their family. It's just
Mhm.
in these kind of cases, there's just like no right or wrong answer with this. It's
Mhm.
just that whatever works. And some people do hang on to that hope. I have a lot of moms who are donor egg moms who hold on to that hope that, okay, they had their first through donor conception, and then maybe their body will catch on and get pregnant again, and then like it doesn't happen, and then sometimes they go back, and go for
Mhm.
that second baby. So some people do think that I just needed this so my body can understand what pregnancy is and they'll get pregnant. But for some
Mhm.
of them, it doesn't happen. They have to go back to spend that money to
And
get
I
to get the baby too.
and I also like encourage. I've seen women too that have been like, they've been discouraged because of their age, and so
Right.
I'm heavy on that too, and I encourage other women as well. Like, I had my son at 36. I had my daughter was born. She was born when I was 39. She was literally born a month before my 40th birthday. So
Wow.
I'd be like, girl, I had a baby at 39, going on 40. Ain't nothing wrong. I am a huge advocate. If you want to have your baby at 42 or 45, do your thing. Don't let age be a reason why you don't have your baby. And they told me I had a geriatric pregnancy for both my babies. Okay, okay, and
And it just means a few more appointments. That's all. You just get a few more
okay,
appointments
like
than everybody else.
that's it. You have to watch
That's
me
it.
closer. I had an MFM. I had
Right.
a maternal fetal medicine doctor
Right.
with my daughter along with my OBGYN. Okay, and I carried her to 40 weeks at 39. No, ma'am. Have your baby. Don't let age stop you. No.
Yeah, we had Erica on here who was 50. She had a baby at 50 through donor conception. So, and we had
Mhm.
Ursula too. I think she was like 49. She had her baby. So there
Mhm.
are women who definitely have children in your clinic too. Again, this is all about picking the
Mhm.
right clinic.
Mhm.
CNY will definitely take women at an older age. I even think my
At an older
clinic
age.
will take women at an older age.
Mhm.
The only thing that they're gonna recommend after you get a certain age is your egg
Mhm.
quality, because that's just something
Mhm.
like at some
Of course.
point like
Yeah.
they have to have that conversation of
Mhm.
it's expensive, so and you're just not producing quality eggs as someone when you had your IVF. So even when she had her IVF at 30 something years old, like she's got younger quality eggs. So even if she wasn't getting pregnant, our doctor's going to say
Mhm.
you have age on your side, to
Right.
at least try once. And the fact that you had an amazing egg retrieval. And I want everybody to know, like, everybody don't get that.
Yeah.
Even at like the age of 26, some women don't get that because
Mhm.
it could mean that you were maybe borderline PCOS, but whatever you were doing
Mhm.
at that time, like your egg quality was like really, really good, and
Mhm.
that's just comes from,
Mhm.
and they'll recommend if you're doing an egg retrieval diet, exercise, eating healthy, drinking your water, sugary, minimizing your sugars, all those kind of things help with egg quality. Taking your prenatals, you don't necessarily have to be pregnant to take a
Mhm.
prenatal. You can take those things now in preparation of your egg retrieval.
Mhm.
You want to give because it's not cheap. You want to give yourself the best option that you can
Mhm.
to have
Mhm.
the most successful egg retrieval if you plan to do that. Even just a situation of embryo transfers, you just want to make sure that you
Mhm.
are in the healthiest shape that you are, losing weight if you can. I mean, studies show, yes, I understand. Y'all gonna tell me about your sister who is 300 some pounds and she had seven babies. I
Mhm.
get that. We're talking about medical intervention here. We're talking
Mhm.
about paying someone to help you get pregnant. So if
Mhm.
you want to do that, just give yourself the best option. Go for a walk, even if it's for 20 minutes a day. or move in
Yeah.
your house, do a walking video, anything that will promote blood flow,
Mhm.
circulation to your uterus to help increase your chances of taking home that baby, you know, is something that you want to do. Even if insurance is paying for it, you just want to make sure that you are doing what you can without, and I say this, without it being mentally draining.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? Like, you don't want to like, oh, let me take all these medications. Let me do this. And then like, let me make sure I'm eating the right amount of protein and all that kind of stuff. I'm not saying do all that. I'm just saying make better decisions. Maybe,
Mhm.
maybe, and I'm talking to myself, maybe you shouldn't drink the whole jar of juice. Okay?
Mhm.
Maybe let's not do that, you know, but let's just make sure we're drinking water, making sure like we're monitoring some things just to be in the most healthy, optimal state.
Mhm.
So you now have what I'm going to guess is leftover embryos.
I have a ton of leftover embryos,
Now,
and
now we want to know what you're going to do with them embryos.
honestly, I haven't even gotten to that point yet because I just had my daughter 6 months ago. But it's
Right,
definitely something that's it's definitely something that's going to come up very soon because storage fees are not cheap. And
correct.
so that's one thing, storage fees are not cheap. But even more important than that, we are not having any more children. We have
Right,
because we ended up with our son, and now we have a daughter, and we're not having any more children. That was something that we had already discussed. With me being the age that I had my daughter, 39, we just felt like we have one of each, and we feel complete. We feel complete.
right,
The biggest thing going into it after I had my son was I didn't want him to be an only child, and I've always wanted a daughter, and my husband really wanted a son, so we don't feel like we need to do this again. We're literally done. So we feel
right,
we're good.
right,
So that chapter of our story is closed, and um, we have we have a lot of embryos left over. Our embryos are another unique thing about our embryos that I know a lot of people will look for is they are so I'm African American and my husband is Haitian, so they are
oh,
strictly black, strictly all black, no mix or anything, just black babies, which is really hard to find
right.
from what I hear. So yeah, our embryos are all black. There's no mixture of any other race, just Haitian and black babies. So yeah.
It's even still unique in its own right because
Mhm.
it's now you're dealing with not just being African American, like it's Haitian too, so it's a different Caribbean
Mhm.
culture that
Mhm.
a lot of people look for to identify with. So you
Mhm.
definitely have something that probably is sought out. I definitely know like we have women who like are from Trinidad and um my egg
Mhm.
donor, she's half like from she's half white, she's half Barbados. So we ultimately do end up having to compromise,
Mhm.
finding embryos or egg donors who are not all the way aligned with where we are from, or just even culturally based. So the fact that they are Haitian, that's definitely something that probably is something
Mhm.
that you're going to answer, if you decide to donate, you're going to answer somebody's prayers, because now,
Mhm.
that's something that they can identify with, and knowing that, they come from the same culture as,
Right.
their,
Mhm.
their children come from the same culture as them too, as well.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. We so at my clinic they give you I think they give you three options. You can donate, of course. You can
Hmm.
donate to science, or you can destroy your embryos. It's completely
Right.
up to you and your partner. And so that is the next step because the chapter for us to have children is like we've just decided that we're done, and so that's the next step. Yeah, but I feel complete. The I mean I remember the years of just praying. Lord, just give me one child, and God gave me two, and so I couldn't ask for nothing else. Honestly, I feel so complete right
And I think, when you go through those situations of,
now. Hmm.
you know, the struggle, I think the decision, and it's still not an easy decision,
Hmm.
of possibly donating and those kind of things still run, the image in your head of, will they treat your, these embryos as if you were. And yeah, I mean, I mean, right now it's so fresh. You're still in new mom, again,
Right.
it's a different type of mom because you're a mom, but then you have to deal with two personalities, and I'm sure she's
Yes.
not like he was.
Oh
And
no. Going
yeah.
from one to two has been a challenge. We have my son is 3 and she's 6 months. So we have a 3 year old and a
Right.
6 month old. So it's definitely been a challenge going from one to two and dealing with the different personalities and stuff like that. But the funnest, the best thing for me is so having my son for 3 years before she was born, it was just strictly boy stuff, and I did all the boy
Right.
things. And then knowing that she was a girl, oh my God, I said, Lord Jesus, now I get to do bows and tights and shoes and dresses. I went crazy, and I'm just
Of course.
like,
As you
what? She has
should.
a she has a bow for every outfit. I swear. I swear. So I am loving dressing her up like a baby doll. I tell you, I am.
And when those dreams come to fruition, I think that you
Mhm.
should live out every single how ridiculous it is. Because in your
Mhm.
mind you think like, oh, they're gonna be this, and I bet you're like, even if she have a teaspoon of hair, she gonna get this boat.
She go. Yes, she is. If we don't leave home without it, that's all right. We don't leave home without it.
I know she don't
Mm-mm.
have no hair. She still need this boat.
She, people know it's funny because my son has a lot of hair, so
Uh-huh.
he was mistaken for a girl when he was younger. But now that I have the both of them, it's like no, there's no mistaking. That's the girl right there. She got on pink, purple, and yellow with a pink bow, and he got on blue, green, and brown shoes. That's different. It's literally down the middle, boy, girl.
Right.
Yeah, I was like, no. I told my husband, I said, when we have our daughter, they ain't gonna mistake him for a girl anymore because they're gonna know.
They gonna know for sure.
That's
They gonna know for
that's the
sure.
girl. That's the boy. No question about it. No.
Ah, that is so amazing. I am so happy for you. Now, did you experience
Thank
any
you.
postpartum? Was your postpartum different from your
hmm
son to your
I
daughter?
it was. With my son, I didn't really have a lot of postpartum, but with my daughter, I did. So right now I'm in the thick of postpartum with her. I'm currently seeking out a therapist because I feel like it definitely hit me harder when I had her, and I don't know if that's because the the dynamic changed from one to two kids. I think that's a part of it. So right now, I'm just trying to get a handle on it by getting a therapist and making sure my mental health is good because it was a jump for me because when we had her, my son, I'm glad we waited 3 years to have him 3 years apart because my son was pretty much potty training, so he was getting him out of that. So and now we have her, but it was a jump in the sense that the responsibility increased, and so and now navigating when like my son, he's a little older now, he's 3 going on 4, but he still is needy sometimes. So just navigating life as a mom of two has been a little bit of a challenge, but every day it gets a little easier.
I love it. So my last two questions for you,
hmm
since I deal with all women who deal with different types of babies, whether they're related to them or not, something I
hmm
talk about is bond. So your children are biologically related to you, but did you have a hard
Yeah,
time bonding?
I didn't. I didn't. Not at all. Not at I didn't have an issue with bonding with either one of them. Um, with my daughter, I did try for a VBAC, but it just didn't work out the way I wanted it to. And I had a C-section with her. I just wanted I had to have a repeat section with her. So they ended up they had to create a new scar for her because the scar for my son was so low. So that kind of took some of the joy out of it. But when she came out, I was able to bond with her still
And we have women that do both. So we have women who have natural have their babies. They don't automatically immediately bond. We have women who have no DNA tied and they instantly bond. I just want to prove to or just let people know that your bonding, whether it's
Mhm.
DNA related or not, is totally normal.
Mhm.
Because sometimes you come out, you immediately bond, and then postpartum takes over, and then you
Mhm.
lose the bond too. That definitely happens as well with a lot of
Mhm.
women. You know, baby number one, you kind of get in the system, and then baby number two comes, and it just throws you all out of whack. They may be
Mhm.
crying, or they may be doing things that the first one didn't do. You know,
That's what
your
I'm going through
life
that now too.
situation, yeah,
Yeah.
your life situation
Mhm.
changes. And so what you had before may be different now. So all those things that you go through may be something that is normal for all of us. But I'm glad that she's
Mhm.
saying, what I always advocate for is talk to someone, you know,
Right.
get a
Mhm.
get a neutral party that's going to help you navigate those emotions and navigate those things that necessarily um your parents or your mom or your sister may not be able to help you navigate as well.
Absolutely.
And then my last question to you is this, and it seems like you talked about it in your interview. What would you tell a woman who has unexplained infertility? Everyone else around her is just telling her to keep trying. She's young,
Mhm.
and that what do they always say? When God says it's time, it'll happen. What is your
Mhm.
advice to her to maybe try something different?
My advice to her would be to listen to your inner self, and if you feel like you need to take that next step and go get like some help for yourself, then that's what I would do. That's what she should do because people often say, "Oh, you have time. You're still young." But that doesn't mean because I have time doesn't mean I want to wait, keep waiting either. You know what I mean? So I feel like
Right.
my advice to her would be follow what you feel. And if you ultimately feel like I need to get help for myself because I want to have this baby and I want to push forward with that, even though I still have more time, then do that and don't let other people dictate what that looks like for you. Don't because you don't want to look back and be like, oh, I wish I hadn't, or like I wish I had done this sooner, because then the time would have already been lost. So I would always like, there's just sometimes you just gotta follow what's in your heart to do for yourself, and you can't let other people get in the way of that. You can't. That's what would be my advice to her. Do what you feel is best for you, and if that's you not wanting to wait, then don't wait. Don't wait.
I think that's some solid advice. I love when you just said, like, don't let nothing stop you. Don't let age stop you. Don't let doctors
Mm-mm,
stop
mm-mm.
you in this interview. And, for those who have been coming every week, I think everyone says that sort of mantra, or that they just had, like, I want my babies and I'm going to get my babies.
Mhm,
Um, and
mhm,
no matter what it takes, I'm going to get my babies. And I'm so happy to see you sitting here with your two miracles, that
mhm.
you sought off, you prayed for. And I think that your journey is amazing. Um, and I love that you said that I'm still infertile. I got
Right.
babies. I still
Yeah.
experiencing it, and I'm sure like your
Oh.
trauma comes from other different directions. When
Mhm.
somebody says, girl, you know how it is, you're like, well, I don't, like, oh, you just
Right.
woke up pregnant. You're like, no, I didn't, that didn't
Uh,
happen to me like that. So,
it didn't.
um,
And even if we had decided that we wanted to keep growing our family, we would have just went down our we would have just gone through our embryos. And that's another thing too with my the last thing too with my embryos is out of the batch that was that I had paid the money for that was PGS tested, I only used three of those. So I have six. left over. I have five girls and a
Yes.
boy. I have six PGS tested embryos. Five girls and a boy that are that are tested normal that we're not going to use. Plus the other ones that have never been tested. So we like literally if we decided to do embryo donation, I would absolutely offer those up first because they've already been tested normal. So literally, they just need to be implanted. That's
Right.
literally it.
Right.
No, nothing else needs to be done. That's it.
So you're probably like the second one that I know of that's in our
Mhm.
group. The other one, she had like 20 something embryos to donate to as
Mhm.
well.
Oh wow,
And what she
yeah.
just did was she split them up. So that could be an idea is that
Okay.
she picked one woman. She actually ended up going through hers, and then she didn't end up having, she ended up miscarrying. She also ended up adopting a little girl. But she split hers up. So she kind of said, okay, you get five. I think she still has embryos left, if I'm not mistaken, but she's kind of done a thing of, I deal with one family. If it works, then, because she's trying to make sure that everyone gets their baby before she just gives them all away. So I
Mhm.
know that she was working with one family, two, at least two families.
Mhm.
And that's what says she started off with. She worked with one family. They did a contract. Um, and then like I think she's waiting until like they complete their family in a sense, and then she'll just move on like that. So there are definitely different options that you can do. Some people just donate the whole thing. Um, to a family, and then they
Mhm.
talk about if whatever you don't use, like you have a say so in the next family that they pick. So there's just, it's so many options when it comes to
Mhm.
donating your embryos that you can definitely do. So definitely reach out, to someone when you're at that stage to say,
Mhm.
what did you do um when you were donating the embryos. But we have so many embryo donation moms, and they love their little ones so much, you know. And I swear I have one. Well, and I was like, I met him in person.
Mhm.
They had one embryo,
Mhm.
and they met in my group, and he took, and she has him, and I looked at him, I looked at her, and I looked at him, I looked at her, and I said, "Are you sure that this not your baby? Are you sure that?"
Mhm.
And she was like, "Girl, I could have made him with my own eggs." That he looks just like her. And we also had Indigo on here, and he's embryo. She has no idea what his parents look like, and that's her twin. When she brought him on and everyone saw him, they thought that she was lying.
Wow.
They thought it was like, y'all, I swear I was there where in real time when he got on the screen with her. Everybody was like, "Is that? Are you sure?" And she said, "I." She was like, well, "He was my son anyway," but people really just think that that is her son. And it's something called epigenetics, where your
Mhm.
genes are expressed onto the baby. So like those embryos, they may end up looking like, and it'll be crazy. You'll see yourself, because they're yours. You'll see yourself in
Mhm.
there, but you'll also maybe see her, the mom, in there too as well. It's just beautiful. I'm
Wow.
grateful for science when that stuff like that happens.
Mhm.
But it's just an amazing feeling. And you see um them, and you can make the choice if you want to be involved, you don't want to be involved, like you want pictures,
Like an
you
open.
don't.
Mhm.
Yeah, you can do open donation where
Mhm.
um if they want to come back and meet, they would be called uh they want to meet their siblings
Mhm.
later on, or just so they can get a better understanding. I think that that's what the beauty of this is like we just have open dialogue, open conversations, so that
Mhm.
they know that, hey, and then they'll start telling you stuff like, "Oh yeah, my friend school, they have that. And you're like, oh, okay. they they have so many different unique families now that nothing seems like weird to them anymore. You know,
Mhm.
versus us when you're trying to get people to understand what it is. Even I'm sure just telling people that you do IVF, a lot of people still don't know what IVF is.
No. Mm-mm. I don't know.
Because I'm sure you get
Mm-mm.
the, oh, so when's the next baby coming? You like, if you got another $6,000 or whatever in your pocket, we can have another
Legit.
baby.
For real. Like, nope, there's no more.
There's
There's
no
no more.
more. We good. We good.
We're
It's just
good.
no
We
no
are good.
oopsies or anything like that.
Mm-mm.
We're definitely good on that part.
Yeah, we're literally set up the way our house is set up, our cars are set up. We're set up for two kids. We're good.
We good.